What's going on, everybody? Welcome to EJ's Rocket Lab Electron launch coverage here. This is the Mountain God Guards here. And they just started, so I'm going to load this right up. Let's roll. Let's roll.
You from New Zealand as we approach the launch
Let's roll.
of another Electron mission from Rocket Lab Launch
We
Complex.
got 9 Rutherfords
India.
ready to roll, son.
Down to Electron's 8th launch for the year and 66th mission, which is a dedicated launch for Japanese constellation operator IQPS. My name is Muriel Baker, and
What's up,
I'm
Muriel?
joining you from Rocket Lab's Mission Control Center in New Zealand for this mission.
Center.
Our liftoff time today has been set for 3:31 a.m. local time, and preparations for the mission have run smoothly so far.
No,
We're
Jim, I
tracking no
don't.
issues with Electron or range clearance in the lead up to launch. Now, today's mission is called the Mountain God Guards, and it's our latest launch for the Institute of Kyushu Pioneers of Space. Electron will be headed to a
Kyushu-sama.
575-kilometer low
Hi, Glue.
Earth orbit to deploy the next satellite in their constellation that provides synthetic aperture radar imagery. It's our 4th time heading to space for IQPS and the 3rd time this year.
Is it Leif
with the
Erikson
latest
Day,
mission
Coltec?
deployed a little over 3
What's
weeks
up, Jono?
ago and another launched earlier in mid-March. We've
Match.
got 8 missions on the books in total for IQPS. And
It's strange to me, dude, because the New Zealand accent says a lot of things in Australia too, for what it's worth. Like, not that those accents are the same, I understand the differences, but they pronounce things very similar to Boston. Like, she said match. That's how we say match, which is weird because we're on the other side of the world. But yeah, curious. Match.
And then last month's launch was the Sea God Seas, and the one in March was for the Lightning God Rains, all kicked off by our first IQPS
Got
launch
355.
called the Moon God Awakens.
Yeah, hot
We'll
box
throw
for
a little
sure.
sneak peek at what our next mission patch will be for the next IQPS
Long
launch.
match 5.
So there you go, a little bit of mission patch trivia for today's mission.
Match.
Right now, though, we are at T-minus 13 minutes and counting on the clock. The team is getting ready to launch Electron right on time for its scheduled liftoff at 3:31 a.m. And we've got liquid oxygen propellant continuing to flow through the vehicle's first and second stage tanks.
Tomato.
Looking nice and full there from the frosty white buildup
Nice
of
and full.
ice on the outside of those tanks that you can see from afar.
Mint.
And very soon, our launch director for the mission will run through the go, no-go poll with the operators in mission.
That man
and
is
range
playing
control.
Counter-Strike.
They'll check in with the launch director on everything
Thought we wouldn't
from
notice,
payload
but
status
we did.
to the rocket's environmental conditions and its
Seriously, he's
propellant
got a
tank
HyperX
levels
headset
through
on.
to whether the skies will remain clear at liftoff. And we are just a few moments away from that poll kicking off.
This is a land center.
Let's bring up the audio now and listen in.
All right, let's see what we got. Hey, engineer, gonna lurk with your sweet sultry voice in the background while I work. Thank you very much.
To all operators, we are proceeding with the go, no-go sequence.
Sync is
Stage.
good.
Stages go.
Avionics,
Avionics is go.
GNC,
Ooh, the
GNC
audio
is
is
go.
VCON,
VCON is go.
T1,
T1 is go.
GC,
GC is go.
PLS,
PLS is go.
RSO,
RSO is go.
MET,
Met is go.
Hey, guys, I boosted the volume so we could hear the go, no, go pull. I don't want to talk over it too much, but just be careful. Meter your headset volumes, because when Mariel starts talking in, it's going to be loud.
minus 11 minutes and 24 seconds and counting. We are go for terminal count auto sequence at T-minus 10 minutes. From this time, the 3-word procedure is in effect.
All right, there we are. Exactly what we
See?
wanted to hear from the launch team. We are go across all stations in mission control and range control down in Mahia. We're not tracking any issues with the rocket or pad systems. IQPS's payload is healthy, and the weather has treated us well so far and is expected to keep doing so at liftoff. So
Yeah, we're
no
running ads.
concerns there either. Everything is ready to go with the clock now at T-minus 10 minutes and 45 seconds and counting.
Guys, I'm going to run ads on the Twitch side of things so nobody gets an ad during the launch.
Place in the lead up to every Electron launch. Now, operations for this one began late last night that have obviously carried through to the wee hours of this morning. So let's take a look at what it takes to prepare our rocket for liftoff.
The countdown to
Yes, I would
launch
like to
is the
see this.
most closely watched clock in
That's a
mission
Logitech
control.
headset.
Here are some of the things that take place at each milestone after the countdown begins. At T-minus 9 hours before launch, our crew are on site at Launch Complex 1 to configure the pad for launch and prepare to power on Electron for the day's operations. Meanwhile, our operators in mission control start checking in to their station.
How are we going to roll this rocket to the pad? Push it. Oh.
Status update.
I think that's
Mission
cool.
Control also receives its first weather check on what to expect at liftoff, including cloud cover and predicted wind speed at Launch Complex 1. Now, at T-minus 6 hours, our ground tracking stations begin to power up before Electron is prepared to go vertical on the pad.
That's correct, Pashto.
Soon afterward, Electron's Rutherford engines are tested with a short burst of engine fire to confirm all systems are operating as they should. At T-minus 5 hours through T-minus 3 hours, our range safety team runs through safety status checks for those on and around our launch complex on the peninsula.
Summer car,
making
summer
sure
car,
the team
Tessa.
and the public are kept safe during the day's launch attempt. Fuel loading of kerosene will soon begin on Electron, while additional vertical systems checks take place and the pad is evacuated. It's T-minus 3 hours now, and soon liquid oxygen will begin to flow into Electron. As the rocket slowly fills with this oxidizer, Electron's black body turns white as humidity in the air around the rocket freezes into a thin sheet of ice due to the freezing temperatures of the liquid oxygen inside. With 1 hour left to launch, it's crunch time for our operators. Vehicle cameras are switched to their launch settings. Our avionics team enables Electron for flight. Our final weather brief comes through, and the range safety
Here you go,
status
Boo.
will confirm that the area is clear for launch. With 12 minutes left in the count, our launch director runs the go, no-go poll with our operators to make the final decision to proceed with the launch. All final checks are completed before we reach T-minus 2 minutes in the countdown. At this critical point, the countdown auto sequence begins and Electron's flight computers take over. The launch director begins counting down to liftoff from T-minus 10 seconds before the engines ignite 3 seconds before launch, and Electron lifts off the pad at T0 on its way to complete its next mission with the satellites on board.
So obviously plenty of work is involved in getting
Jesus, it's
every
great.
one of our rockets and its launch pad ready for its next mission to space. And every step of the way in that process involves a fantastic member of the Rocket Lab team. And if you'd like to join them, we are always hiring. So check out some of the jobs going in launch operations on our website, rocketlabcorp.com. Come help us launch even more missions like this one.
Inside of 7.5 minutes here on the count. Maybe cut in some ambient audio, Mr. Sound Producer? Yeah? No? Here. Now Starbase Live. Where's this launch from? So this is launching out of, let me just make sure I got the pad right. I know where it is. It's in New Zealand. This is the Mahia Peninsula. It's on the eastern side of the northern island of New Zealand. It is like kind of a peninsula that kind of goes south. Rocket Lab has 2 launch pads there. This is LC-1A, so they have 1A and 1B. 1B is over there. It's on the other side of that lamp post. Actually, it's more that way. Kind of 90 degrees to this camera. Transport director is moving backwards. This is, yeah, it's in the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. It's 3:30 in the morning over there, if I'm understanding this correctly.
There we go. That's the strong back you can see retracting from Electron there in preparation for launch. Now, after today's mission, we have another 4 missions for IQPS launching on Electron this year and next. And each one is to deliver the latest QPS SAR satellite to orbit that will build out the company's
Karen.
synthetic aperture radar, or SAR,
Karen, how you
Earth
doing, man?
imaging constellation. Now, SAR
You're on
works
the up
a
and
bit
up or what?
differently to other satellites that take pictures of Earth. The radar in synthetic aperture radar describes how the satellite sends out radio waves from
Good, man.
space and listens for the echoes that
That's
bounce back
that's
from Earth.
Disneyland.
And surfaces like forests,
Sydney.
buildings, and water reflect
They're
those
spying
waves
on the
differently.
Australians, mate.
And the satellite and its constellation collects those measurements to
dude.
stitch together one large, clear picture. Now, SAR is particularly useful for being able to see even at nighttime or through clouds for consistent
Or
coverage
through
over
roofs.
a specific area. And IQPS is planning for a constellation of up to 36 of these SAR satellites in total. And it's great to be able to support them to build it out over 4 missions to date, the ones to come, and
That's civilian SAR, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Don't read into that statement any more than you need to. But also,
QPS, because building out a constellation requires
That's
control over when a
old
satellite
tech.
is launched and where it's being deployed to, so that the constellation can really be fully optimized for the mission, and that's exactly what Electron was created to provide. Now, demand for that has
which
grown across the
Disneyland?
industry.
Well, it said Anaheim, California, so that's the Disneyland. If it was Disneyland in Florida, that wouldn't be Disneyland at all. That'd be Disney World. Disney World.
Two launch pads,
There's the two
Pad
pads.
A, where Electron will be taking off from this morning, and Pad B right next door, which is where our next mission will fly from. The dual pad setup is all about minimizing the pad
the little
recycle
baby
time that's
dancer
needed
cranes.
between launches from the same
Helicopter.
platform. So with 2 launch pads on site, we reset one while we launch from the other, which is what makes the possibility of back-to-back missions so good. Now, our quickest turnaround yet, though, happened to be not from these 2 pads at LC1, but from LC1 and our Launch Complex 2 site on Wallops Island, Virginia, where we flipped 2 launches within 24 hours from opposite sides
Sup,
of the
Rick?
world. Now, our pad for Electron missions and hypersonic test flights on our HASTE rocket is located within the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport on
Neutron
Virginia's
pad.
eastern shore, and is set to see plenty of action in the months to come too. And of course, there is our brand new launch site for our new rocket Neutron, positioned right next door to Launch Complex 2. That's set to be completed and officially opened soon, ahead of Neutron's debut
Scenario
flight.
number 2.
Today,
went
though,
to Disney
it is
World.
Launch Complex 1's time to shine yet again as we get closer and closer to that T0 liftoff time on the countdown clock. So now just over 3 minutes away from launch, and we are about to enter terminal count at T-minus 2 minutes. And that's when all of the final vehicle and pad systems checks are conducted by
good.
Electron autonomously. Our launch operators will voice those checkouts across the audio channels along the way. So let's turn the volume up and listen in as Electron rolls through the countdown.
All is good as a green.
To all operators, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes.
Okay.
And LD is go for launch.
Two minutes, 20 seconds, launch director reports go. There you go, Cash. Tune in right at the right time, man. Are they using a reusable booster? No. No, they're not. Electron, Rocket Lab did have plans to reuse Electron, but instead
The
of
vehicle is fully on internal power.
okay, it's off,
AFTS is green and enabled for flight.
off the grid, flight termination, automatic flight termination system is armed. How's your brain? I'm good today, article. Yeah. They had plans to reuse Electron USOP, but they decided to pivot to just making a reusable rocket instead of retrofitting this. That's what Neutron is all about. That's what that other pad that you just saw with the gigantic black water tower at Wallops, that's what that's about. Neutron
Box load is complete. System is in recirculation.
Box Recirc is on.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Dooms. 2-month resub. What's going on? We're all good, Fluffy. Yeah, we're all good. Both, it was just just like a day thing, whatever it was. So yeah, they have reused parts from an Electron. They never reused like a whole booster. They reused engines before.
Anti-geysering is disabled.
T-minus 1 minute, but they've never. Yeah, they're moving to Neutron for reuse, which is pretty cool.
Stage 1 and 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
Okay, tanks are at flight pressure. T-minus 45 seconds.
High flow engine purge enabled.
Okay. $30 seconds. Gibby.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
T minus 20 seconds and counting.
Any day we can watch a rocket launch, Beats, is a good day. 15. Now watch this thing, man. Electron gets out of the hole pretty quick.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Sound suppression system
5,
and pad deluge is on.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Send it.
Liftoff.
We got a liftoff.
Beginning pitch off.
The Mountain God Guards is in the air. Launching another SAR satellite for IQPS. Liftoff, ignition, everything looked good there. A lot of ice coming off the vehicle today.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
T plus 33. Vehicles traveling 600
We
kilometers an hour,
are
3
on our
kilometers
way
in
to
altitude.
space for IQPS, a beautiful ascent from Electron, clear against the night sky for its 66th launch. Now watch as those
little bit
speed and
busting, yeah.
altitude dials continue to climb up as we come up against maximum aerodynamic pressure shortly. We're now at T plus 53 seconds and counting into flight, so that call out for max Q should be heard soon across the nets.
1 minute, 1,300 kilometers in speed, 10 kilometers in altitude, and ascending. Call for maximum dynamic pressure should be coming in here in a second.
Cleared max Q.
Okay. James, what's going on?
That's max Q confirmed, and Electron is continuing nominally, now about a minute or so away from staging, and MECO on the first stage. So we're going to see all 9 of those Rutherford engines on the bottom of the first stage shut down, and then very quickly after that, the first stage will be released by the separation locks on the vehicle. Straight away, we should see the second stage Rutherford engine light up to push Electron and its payload away and onward to orbit, just a few moments away from that now.
Stage 1 propulsion holding nominal. Stand by for MECO in roughly 30 seconds.
2 minutes into the flight, vehicle now traveling at 5,400 kilometers an hour, 45 kilometers in altitude. Staging should be in the next 20 seconds.
15 seconds to staging.
Or 15.
Entered burnout detect mode.
Everything looks good on stage 1 propulsion here. I mean, we as good as far as we can tell from the picture. I mean,
MECO confirmed.
engine cutoff, stage separation,
Stage separation confirmed.
cutting in the wrong mic.
Stage confirmed.
Oh, the right mic. Are you kidding me? They have a mic on the second stage.
The Rutherford
Dude,
engine startup
that was
on
awesome.
The second stage. Now that we are clear
Oh,
of
that
first
was
stage
sick.
MECO and stage separation.
I was like,
Electron's altitude
wrong
now
mic?
is sitting at over 95 kilometers above Earth, boosting along at more than 8,000 kilometers an hour. And everything is going very well so far for this mission.
3
Now,
minutes
up
in,
next
8,100
is fairing
kilometers an
separation
hour,
when the
106
two
kilometers
halves
in
of
altitude.
Electron's nose cones separate and fall away. And that should be coming up very soon now.
That was the sound of the turbo pump spooling up on the second stage engine. The zzz. That's cool, man. That was really cool. Yeah, Taco, I don't think we've ever heard that from Rocket Lab before. That was really neat. Hey, Mike, what's going on, buddy? Stand by for fairing separation.
Fairing jettison confirmed.
Jettison confirmed.
HVB discharge holding nominal.
High voltage battery discharge is good. The batteries
Exactly
are
as planned. There goes those fairing halves
powering
from
the
Electron, and hello
motor
to
for the second stage.
QPSR 11 on your screen there, safely integrated to the kick stage on top of the second
It has a
stage
go handle.
as it
It's right there.
continues on to our
Superstars.
575 kilometer target orbit.
Four minutes into the flight, vehicle now traveling at 9,300 kilometers an hour, 159 kilometers in altitude. Do they use the niobium nozzle too?
We've got
To an
just under
extent, yeah.
5 minutes or so of
Dang it,
engine
Muriel.
burn time for this stage 2 Rutherford left to go. And it takes absolute precision and control from our guidance
It's crazy,
system
Tessa.
for the second stage to keep it on the path to orbit. And our engineers have to take into account the Earth's rotation, the forces of gravity, resistance against the vehicle, and the angle it should be oriented to carry the kick stage to a nominal transfer orbit. Now, Electron is programmed to make any adjustments needed along the way, but so long as those 2 lines on your screen for our planned and actual trajectory are closely aligned, then the mission remains in the clear.
Slightly lofted, or slightly underperforming right now, but the guidance system will compensate. If you look over there, the red line is a little bit lower than the dotted line. It's enough to stay in the track, but they're getting a slight underperformance from the second stage engine. Guys, don't read too much into it. Most rockets do this. If you guys
One
watch,
of the next actions coming up on the second stage will be the battery hot swap.
I'll talk more about that in a second. If you guys watch CSI Starbase, my buddy Zach over on his YouTube channel, he has a pretty good explanation with his Pogo video about why rocket engines slightly underperform and slightly overperform. Your thrust is never going to be like a solid number. Like, it's not producing 7,600 kilonewtons of thrust on the dot and it stays there. It fluctuates. It fluctuates because it's not like a perfect combustion. If it was perfect combustion, it'd be violating a couple laws of thermodynamics, but that's another story. With rocket launches, you do get some slight underperformance, slight overperformance. It happens. That's why they have a track. Rockets have like a track that they go down, and as long as you stay in the track, right, you're good to go. They're a little bit down inside of their track, like proverbial track. Think of it like a race car on a racetrack. You can, as long as you're inside of the barriers, you're fine, right? There are proverbial barriers here, and if it goes outside of the barrier, the flight termination system would be like, nope. So a little bit of underperformance, a little bit of overperformance is just fine. That's okay. Nothing is wrong. Everything's working fine. The guidance system is designed to compensate. There's your battery hot swap right there.
A seamless battery hot swap there for the Rutherford engine, continuing on bright and beautiful past 240 kilometers in altitude now.
So what's going on? Ooh, the camera went a little funky after battery hot swap. We've seen that happen before, Erida, yeah. Why is maximum dynamic pressure called max Q? Because in mathematics, Q is the alphanumeric character for that indicates that, like T is time and V is velocity, right? Math uses letters for different variables. G is gravity, right? Yeah, there is some, we've seen this happen before. That's been a thing. I don't know if it's normal. I'm pretty sure they don't want that, but it looks like either the vibrations or the electrical after the battery, it happens after the battery's jettisoned. Now, I said I'd talk more about that. Why do the batteries jettison? Well, it's because Electron is one of the only rockets with electronic fuel injection. It has an electric motor spinning a fuel pump to feed the rocket motor, a very fast electric motor, might I add. So you need batteries to power your electric motor. So instead of Electron like jettisoning a stage or something, it jettisons batteries to reduce mass, increasing efficiency here. Increases your delta V. The battery is mass. Any mass you can jettison that's just dead mass, like a dead battery or something, get rid of it. That's why you saw them pop off. Now don't worry, they re-enter in the atmosphere, they burn up. Then none of that makes it back down to the ground because the second stage is going too fast by the time they jettison them. But yeah, really cool technology.
Down the Rutherford you can see on our screen for second engine cutoff and then separation of the kick
Okay,
stage.
8 minutes and 34 seconds in, 24,000 kilometers an hour, 261 kilometers in altitude. We're looking for around 27,000 kilometers an hour. That's more or less in a parking orbit. We should be seeing that sequence of events here in the next 20 seconds.
They monitor the guidance systems for that. Let's listen in now.
Seeker confirmed.
Yeah, see?
Stage separation confirmed.
Slight underperformance.
Nominal
26.923.
transfer orbit achieved.
Nominal transfer orbit.
Great
Décollage.
call out there from Mission Control. That is SECO confirmed for the second stage, with the kick stage now successfully separated to its transfer orbit with the QPS SAR 11 satellite for IQPS.
The stage will compensate.
Ahead of them as the kick stage and the satellite go for a coast around the Earth before the kick stage can ignite its own propulsion system to perform the final maneuvers that place the payload on orbit. So we've got about 40 minutes or so until that takes place, but we are not done yet. We're going to take a bit of a break now, so go and grab a coffee and enjoy the relaxing tunes of our good friend Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. And I hope I'll see you back.
Tom did the occasional Astro Boy? Oh, I love that guy. Hmm. 26.923 at 250 is... Yeah, I'm thinking about it. So at the orbital inclination that they launched at, they launched almost with a flight azimuth of about 110. Like, so if you have a compass, you're heading 110. New Zealand is like 40 degrees south latitude. Hmm. 26.923, 250. Yeah, the telemetry indicated slight underperformance. That's just a little bit slow. It's not, it's fine. That's why they say nominal orbit insertion. Nominal means within a certain range, basically. So, like, if you're newer to spaceflight terminology, you hear people say nominal all the time. What that means is, like, it's good enough. You're in the ballpark where you can compensate for it. The second stage or the third stage with the Curie engine will compensate. But yeah, they did get a smidge of underperformance. That's cool that they showed it, and it's a great teaching opportunity, guys. But yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say like, oh my God, something's wrong. No. That happens all the time. It happens all the time. If like SpaceX showed their telemetry, you do get some slight variations in performance every launch. Every launch. That happens all the time with every vehicle. That's why rockets have smaller thrusters like RCS on them to compensate for these slight changes in velocity. That it happens. Some underperformance does happen. Overperformance happens. As long as you're going more or less in the right direction, and you're within a nominal range going in the right direction, you're fine. You can compensate. But there's a certain amount of deviation where the rocket wouldn't be able to correct its trajectory with the fuel on board, and that's why the track exists. How you feeling? I'm fine, Stuart. Yeah, everything's good, man. It's a nice day. But yeah, this is why sometimes you hear a call for closed loop guidance or open loop guidance or something like that. Closed loop guidance means that the guidance, navigation, and control is using the inertial measurements from the second stage to change its trajectory because the computer knows from where the thing was, from the direction that it was accelerating, that it might be off. Like, the computer knows where the nominal trajectory is, and it knows where the rocket's actual trajectory is, and it figures, oh crap, I'm not on the right course, so the computer can actually steer it back onto the right course. That is pretty much like industry standard for second stage. ULA does this, SpaceX does this, Blue does this, Rocket Lab does this. Everyone that launches does this. This is like, having an inertial guidance system on your second stage is like saying you have a car with a steering wheel. Yeah, that's kind of important. I know about Robotaxi. Okay, don't. I know someone will be like, "Oh, you said Robotaxi." Shit. Nope. I hear you type, but stop it. Yeah, so would you say it knows where it is because it knows where it isn't? Yes. Scotty, don't! Scotty, don't! Scotty, don't! Scotty, don't! Last, please. No. Nah, I'm good, thanks. You want to hear the spin up of the stage again? All right, that's fair. That's fair. So I thought they cut in the wrong microphone. That's why I was like, that's the wrong mic. Nope, no. They got a microphone on the second stage.
15 seconds to staging.
Insert burnout detect mode.
Burnout detect mode.
Miko confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Oh, that's sick. That's awesome.
That is a healthy Rutherford engine startup.
Dude, what you heard there was the electric motor spinning the impellers and then ignition. You got to spool the impellers to get them to start delivering fuel and oxidizer. And then you get an ignition and boom, there you go. That's really cool.
Stage separation
So,
confirmed.
listen, right here. That's the sound of the electric motor spooling and the impeller spooling up. That's really cool. Man, that motor's going into overdrive. Also, bus. 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 Sounds exactly like the spin up of a mini jet made from a turbo. Well, there's no turbine in Rocket Lab's design. There's just an electric motor that's driving an impeller. So it's more like an electronic fuel pump. So you're hearing the electric motor spin up. It doesn't take very long. That's part of the reason why Rocket Lab gets off the pad very quick. You're not spooling a turbo, you're spooling the motor. Absolutely love that one video of the Saturn V where you can hear the turbo pump spool up before ignition. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Is the electric motor just to get combustion started, or will it continuously feed? Oh, you just answered. Yeah, no, it's electronic fuel injection, Coltec, like a car. You have an electric motor that's turning an impeller, it's turning a fluid impeller, that's feeding your injector plate. Yeah, it's electron. Rocket Lab doesn't call it that, but it is electronic fuel injection by definition. I just think that's cool. It's technically not, it's not exactly like a car, but the idea is the same. You have an electric motor back pressurizing against an injector, except instead of a solenoid driven fuel injector, you just have an injector plate. So it's basically, it needs to deliver extremely high pressure because your fuel injectors are always open in a rocket design. You don't have an opening and closing fuel injector because there's no piston that goes up and down, right? Magic school bus, nice. Miss Fizzle's branching out, yeah? Honestly, it's possible to reach orbit almost completely passive rocket with little guidance. Japan used to do that when they wanted to not violate missile treaties. Yeah, Ethereal, yep. Good stuff. Bustin'. Alright, guys. It's a little ways off to deployment, so I think that's where I'm going to stop the coverage here. I'll give you mission updates as we go, but I think it's time to go out to the garage. Let's go out to the shop. We got some work to do. There's some things to talk about with fitment on the frame rail. We got to do some modification again. So, Brimo is fine. We're good. We're getting better. So, yeah, you guys know the drill. I'm going to jog the VOD on the YouTube side of things. I'll change up the title. Be back momentarily. And, yeah, I'll see you in a second.